Amino acid substitutions determining the proline-alanine-valine haplotype, PAV, which are tasters, and alanine-valine isoleucine, AVI, which are non-tasters. PAV appear in the population as homozygous or heterozygous, while the observed AVI are homozygotes. Other haplotypes and genotypes are rare. 112. 106 Michael Kalonitis and Charles Law. Color perception. In Kolbach, Fernandez E., Nelson R., editors. Web Vision, the organization of the retina and visual system. Copyright 2014. Available from http://webvision. Med. Utah. edu/book/part 8 Gabak receptors /color perception /107 Kim Unkyang et al. Genetics of Human Taste Perception. J. Dent Res. 2004, 83, 6448-53. 108 Danielle R. Reed et al. Heritable variation in food preferences and their contribution to obesity. Behav. Jeanette. 1997, 27, 4373-87. 109 Sunway E. Gyo and Danielle R. Reed, Gyo S.W., Reed Dr. The Genetics of Phenylthiocarbamide. Perception.Unhum by all. 2001, 28, 2111-42. 110 Linda M. Bartoshuk et al. PTC/prop tasting, anatomy, psychophysics, and sex effects. Physial Behav. 1994, 56, 61165-71. 111 Inglis J. Miller Jr., Reedy F. E. Jr. Variations in human taste bud density and taste intensity perception. Physial Behav. 1990, 47, 61213-9. 112 John E. Hayes et al. Supertasting and prop bitterness depends on more than the TAS2R38 gene. Chemistry Senses. 2008, 33, 3255-65. 35. There is controversy regarding the relationship of these genetic characteristics and the perception of other flavors and mouth sensations. There is evidence that supertasters perceive the taste of concentrated solutions of sucrose, citric acid, sodium chloride and quinine more intensely. 113. The perception of sweetness can vary depending on the sensitivity to Prop 114, however most studies point towards an increase in the perception of sweetness in supertasters. 115. Individuals who perceive Prop as bitter or extremely bitter tend to consider the oral sensation of alcohol as annoying and unpleasant and tend to consume alcoholic beverages less frequently. 116,117. Wine evaluation may be influenced according to the taster status with respect to the perception of PTC/prop. Thus, tasters and supertasters perceive acidity, bitterness, and astringency of red wines more intensely than non-tasters. 118. 1.1.3.3. Olfaction. The genetic determination of individual variation in olfactory capacity related to specific odorants is less known. Some types of specific anosmia are known, whose incidence in families seems to follow a recessive Mendelian inheritance pattern. 119. 1. Of the most often studied compounds is androstenone, a steroid, whose odor is associated with sweat and is not detected by approximately 6% of the population, in addition to being described as pleasant or offensive in different populations. 120,121. Regarding wines, the olfactory sensitivity of a volatile compound, alcohol CIS3 hexane 1-ol, appears to be genetically determined. This alcohol is present in fruits and vegetables such as raspberry and broccoli, and also in white wine. Its aroma is described as recently mown grass, and the ability to perceive it is linked to a gene that encodes the OR2J3 odorant receptor located in chromosome 6q. There are 113 John E. Hayes et al. Supertasting and prop bitterness depends on more than the TAS2R38 gene. Chemistry Senses. 2008, 33, 3255-65. 114 Adam Drewnowski et al. Genetic sensitivity to 6N-propylthiouracil, prop, and hedonic responses to bitter and sweet tastes. Chemistry Senses. 1997, 22, 127-37. 115 Linda M. Bartoshuk. Comparing sensory experiences across individuals, recent psychophysical advances illuminate genetic variation in taste perception. Chemistry Senses. 2000, 25, 4447-60. 116 Valerie B. Duffy et al. Associations between taste genetics, oral sensation and alcohol intake. Physiolbehav. 2004, 82, 2-3435-45. 117 Alexander Bachmanov et al. Chemosensory factors influencing alcohol perception, preferences, and consumption. Alcohol Clinique XP Res. 2003, 27, 2-20-31. 118 Gary J. Pickering et al. Intensity of taste and astringency sensations elicited by red wines is associated with sensitivity to prop, 6N-propylthiouracil. Food Quill Prefer. 2004, 15, 2147-54. 119 John E. Amor. Specific anosmia and the concept of primary odors. Chemistry Senses Flavor. 1977, 2, 3267. 81. 120 Elizabetha Bremner et al. The prevalence of androsten anosmia. Chemistry Senses. 2003, 28, 5423-32. 121 Johan N. Lundström et al. Olfactory event-related potentials reflect individual differences in odor valence perception. Chemistry Senses. 2006, 31, 8705-11. 36. Haplotypes, in which some amino acid substitutions, referred to as T113A and R226Q, diminish the sensitive capacity for CIS3 hexane 1-ol. The concurrent presence of two substitutions abolishes the olfactory sensitivity to this compound. 122 CIS3 hexane 1-ol was described as aromatic wine component of Riesling, Sauvignon Blanc and Pinot Noir varieties. 123,124. 1.1.4. Age. Visual acuity, auditory and tactile sensitivity decline with age. 125. The decrease in olfactory sensitivity with age has been intensively studied. Neuronal changes in the epithelium and in the olfactory bulb have been demonstrated, as well as differences between the young and the elderly in the activation of areas of the central nervous system. Psychophysical and potential related to chemosensory events studies also show loss of olfactory ability in the elderly. 126. The loss of taste sensitivity has also been studied. The discrimination and perception of intensity for salty, sweet, bitter and umami tastes in the elderly have been tested with aqueous solutions of NaCl, KCl, sucrose, aspartame, acetic acid, citric acid, caffeine, quinine hydrochloride, monosodium glutamate and inosine 5-monophosphate, and with these same compounds in processed food products. Investigation has also been made to check if the odor of these tastants interferes with their taste perception. The elderly discriminate differences of concentration both in aqueous solution and food, with or without the use of a nose clip used to prevent identification of odors by retronasal olfaction. The perception of the absolute intensity of the compounds in aqueous solution or in food products without the nose clip is diminished in the elderly. 127. 122 Jeremy F. McRae et al. Genetic variation in the odorant receptor or 2J3 is associated with the ability to detect the grassy smelling odor, CIS3-hexane-1-ol. Chemistry Senses. 2012, 37, 7585-93. 123 Pavlopol Koffit al. Wine Flavor, Chemistry in a Glass. Chemistry Sokrev. 2008, 37, 11 2478-89. 124 Michael Chien, Yu Fang, Kennedy J. Watson B. Development of aroma compounds in peanut Noi grapes and their relative importance in wine, Year 1. Cited 2014 Jan. Available from http://ri. Oregon State. edu/sites/ri. org/files/wine_progress_reports/2002. 03 %20 of %20 aroma %20 compounds %20 in %20 peanut %20 Noi %20 grapes %20 and %20 there. %20 relative %20 importance %20 in %20 wine %20 year %201. PDF 125 Larry E. Humes et al. The effects of age on sensory thresholds and temporal gap detection in hearing, vision, and touch. Aton Percept Psychophys. 2009, 71, 4860-71. 126 Hummel T. et al. Age-related changes in chemosensory functions. In Ruby C., Ska B., Dubois D. Gervais R., Holio, editors. Olfaction, Taste, and Cognition. Cambridge, Cambridge University Press. 2002. 127 Jose Mojit et al. Taste perception with age, generic or specific losses in suprathreshold intensities of 5 taste qualities. Chemistry Senses. 2003, 28, 5397-413. 37. 1.1.5. Crossmodal perception. One of the characteristics of the mammalian brain is the integration of concurrent sensory stimuli, such that the perception of each one of them is altered by one another. The perception of the flavors of foods and beverages results from the integration of different sensory afferents. Different modal sensory interactions have been studied, yet the important ones in evaluating wines involve vision, olfaction, gustation and oral chemesthetic sensation. In primates, sensory modalities such as vision, olfaction and gustation are integrated in the orbitofrontal cortex. There is a secondary gustatory area in the caudolateral orbitofrontal cortex. In addition to that, neurons with olfactory responses are present in a more medial region, and neurons from an intermediate area receive afferent visual stimuli. Some neurons in the orbitofrontal cortex exhibit bimodal responses both to gustatory and olfactory stimuli and gustatory and visual stimuli. Very close to these neurons there are interconnected unimodal sensory neurons, which suggests that the orbitofrontal cortex is the first cortical area of convergence of these three modalities. 128. In the evaluation of wine characteristics, different sensory interactions modulate assessment. The most important are those that occur between gustation and olfaction, and between vision and olfaction. Relations between taste and olfaction are varied and complex. In a series of 4 experiments, Frank and Byram found that the strawberry odor added to whipped cream with sucrose increased the perception of sweetness, whereas the odor of peanut butter added to the same kind of whipped cream did not cause the same effect. Also, the scent of strawberry caused no increase in perception of salinity and lost 85% of its capacity to increase the perception of sweetness of the cream with sucrose if tasted with occluded nostrils. It was concluded that an odor's influence on taste is both odorant and tastant dependent. 129. Neuroimaging studies show the activation of brain areas such as the frontal operculum, ventral insula /caudal orbitofrontal cortex, the amygdala and the anterior cingulate cortex with unimodal stimuli of odor and taste and bimodal stimuli with 128. Edmund T. Rolls and Leslie L. Baylies. Gustatory, olfactory, and visual convergence within the primate orbitofrontal cortex. J. Neurosci. 1994, 14, 9 5437-52. 129. Robert A. Frank and Jennifer Byram. Taste-smell interactions are tastant and odorant dependent. Chemistry. Senses. 1988, 13, 3445-55. 38. Mixtures of the same odorants and tastants. 130. The response in these areas can be supra-additive, in which greater activity was observed when subjects received mixtures of odors and tastes than when they received the corresponding stimuli in an isolated form. 131. In this case, such increase is dependent on experience. Although the multisensory integration of tastes and odors is independent of experience, perceptual congruence may be a phenomenon of multisensory integration resulting from repeated pairing of odors and tastes. The tasting qualities of odors, i.e. the taste of the odor, arise from associative learning with the development of taste-forward/odor bimodal neurons from unimodal neurons, which originally only respond to olfactory stimuli. Associative learning leads to effects such as assigning greater sweetness or acidity to unknown and relatively neutral odors when the exposure to them is accompanied by sweet or acidic solutions. These effects have a strong perceptual reality since they are independent of whether or not one likes the smell, or have the knowledge of which smells and tastes are matched. Perception of flavor is a cerebral construct from the combination of actual tastes and the taste properties of odor, which are encoded in memory. The caramel aroma, for instance, activates memory representations of caramel flavor, which includes a sweet component. The result is the perception of the sweet taste property of this odor. 132. Temporal and spatial characteristics of stimulus presentation also influence odor/taste integration. Thus, odor perception locus varies if the gustatory and olfactory stimuli are presented simultaneously, when the tastant/odorant blend is perceived as a unit and the odor is perceived in the posterior oral cavity. If the odor is presented beforehand, the olfactory sensation is perceived as originating in the nose. If the taste stimulus precedes the odorant, the sensation is perceived at the tip of the tongue. 133. Flavor assessment of wines is indeed strongly influenced by sensory integration among its odorants and tastants, since it is a beverage with remarkable aromas and tastes, whose assessment involves an analysis of these characteristics, which are presented sequentially. These standardized procedures for wine tasting reinforce associative learning and the assignment of taste properties to wine aromas. 130. Ivan et de Araujo et al. Taste olfactory convergence, and the representation of the pleasantness of flavor in the human brain. Jorge Neurosci. 2003, 18, 7 2059-68. 131. Dana M. Small et al. Experience-dependent neural integration of taste and smell in the human brain. J. Neurophysiol. 2004, 92, 31892-903. 132. Dana M. Small and John Prescott. Odor/taste integration and the perception of flavor. EXP Brain Res. 2005, 166, 3-4-345-57. 133. Georg von Becchese. Olfactory analog to directional. J. Apple Physiol. 1964, 19:369-73. 39. The interactions between vision and olfaction are likewise able to alter wine assessment. The intensity of a flavor can be enhanced by a color commonly associated with it. This effect may be due to the addition of a small olfactory percept induced by color to the actual olfactory percept. Interestingly, even colors, which are not appropriate to solutions of certain odorants, may increase their olfactory perception. 134. Appropriate colors for solutions with fruity aromas decrease latency in identifying their odors and increase acuity. The assessment of odor is also influenced by the color of a solution. Thus, we tend to prefer an odor that comes from a solution with appropriate color. This is probably because color helps to identify an odor, and the ability to identify it modifies the affective response to that odor. 135. In olfactory analysis of wines, odors tend to be represented by objects having the same color of the wine. This phenomenon can induce a perceptual illusion. Morat et al. Have demonstrated this effect in an experiment using two samples of wine, one white and one red, whose aromatic descriptions made by a panel of tasters were analyzed. Lexically, a group of descriptors which were most frequently used to characterize the white wine was obtained, as well as another group for the red wine. In a subsequent tasting, 2 samples of the same white wine were served, one of which received an odorless dye, to make it look like a red wine. The white sample aroma was described with its typical descriptors of white wines such as white fruits and flowers. Nevertheless, the white wine which had been dyed in order to resemble a red wine received typical aromatic descriptors of a red wine, characterizing a color-induced olfactory bias. 136. Another experiment, by Parrott al. extended this research by subjecting 4 samples of wine to a jury of experts and to another one formed by social wine drinkers. The 4 samples consisted of a Chardonnay white wine, the same white wine with color additives, so as to make it look like an aged Chardonnay or a young red wine, and a Pinot Noir red wine. They were served alternatively on transparent or opaque wine glasses. The jury of experts was shown to be affected by olfactory bias induced by color, because when the wine was tasted in transparent glasses, more red wine descriptors were attributed to the dyed Chardonnay. Apparently, the cognitive model used by 134 Deborah Zellner and Mary Kautz. Color affects perceived odor intensity. JEXP Psychol Percept. Perform. 1990, 16, 2391-7. 135 Deborah Zellner et al. Influence of color on odor identification and liking ratings. J. Psychol. 1991, 104, 4547-61. 136 Gilmoret et al. The Color of Odors. Brain Language 2001, 79, 2309-20. 40. Experts is the color identification and subsequent description from prototypes stored in their memories. This process can lead to the identification of false positives, i.e., description of aromatic characteristics that are not actually present in that wine sample. The handling of the wine, so as to make it look like an aged Chardonnay, had no effect, and did not modify aromatic descriptors. When opaque glasses were used for tasting, white wine descriptors were maintained. The performance of social wine drinkers, with opaque glasses, was worse than that of experts. 137. The neurophysiological basis of these phenomena is the activation of cortical association areas in the presence of visual and olfactory stimuli. Brain scanning using functional magnetic resonance imaging of individuals exposed to odors and colors alone or combined has shown that the activity in the caudal region of the orbitofrontal cortex, the insular cortex and the anterior hippocampus increases gradually with the perception of semantic congruence of the odor-color pairs presented. 138,139. 1.2. Psychological factors. If a taster has access to information about qualitative characteristics which are not intrinsic of the wine, such as their reputation, rating or price, these can influence evaluation, which can be based on prototypes of the taster's repertoire. By using lexical analysis, Brochet and Morat compared comments from a panel of tasters, who were offered, twice and 1 week apart, the same average quality Bordeaux. On both occasions the wine was labeled differently, as Vin de Table or as Grand Cru. The set of descriptors varied with the terms associated with the description. of great wines being used for the wine labeled as Grand Cru, while for the wine labeled as vin de table, other terms were employed such as simple and unbalanced. This phenomenon was called perceptive expectation 140. The information about wine price and the moment at which this information is provided to the taster are factors that influence the assessment of wine quality. Regarding this fact, an experiment was conducted by Olmenberg and Dreber in which a wine considered expensive was offered to be evaluated in a panel of 135 individuals. 137 Wendy v. Parrott al. The nose, influence of color on perception of wine aroma. J. Wine Res. 2003, 14, 2-379-101. 138 Roberta Osterbauer et al. Color of sense, chromatic stimuli modulate odor responses in the human brain. J. Neurophysiol. 2005, 93, 3434-41. 139 J. A. Gottfried and Raymond J. Dolan. The nose smells what the eye sees, cross-modal visual facilitation of human olfactory perception. Neuron. 2003, 39, 2375-86. 140 Frederick Brochet and Gilmoret. Influence du contexte sur la perception du vin implications cognitives et methodologiques. J. Int Sci Vin Vin. 1999, 33, 4187-92. 41. 40% women, and another wine considered inexpensive was served for evaluation by another panel of 131 individuals, 33% women. In this study, subjects were randomly designated to evaluate the expensive or inexpensive wine. For each group there were 3 possibilities: receive instructions, taste wine, receive and fill out an evaluation questionnaire, receive instructions including the price of wine, taste wine, receive and fill out an evaluation questionnaire, receive instructions, taste wine, receive an evaluation questionnaire including the price of wine and fill it out. The conclusion was that by revealing wine price before tasting made their assessment change to a better evaluation in the case of expensive wine. Among women. Among male tasters, no difference was observed. Price revelation after tasting, yet before the registration of the tasting notes, did not lead to significant differences in the assessment of the wine. 141. 1.3. Knowledge and training. An issue often raised is whether the ability of wine experts is due to their greater perceptual capacity or greater cognitive ability. The comparison of performance between novices and experts in wine suggests, in experiments to test memory in intentional and incidental conditions, that knowledge, particularly of the varietal characteristics of the wine and the vocabulary associated with these characteristics, is an important component in the performance of a wine specialist. 142. As previously mentioned, Parrott al. Have demonstrated that wine experts perform better in aromatic identification than beginners. 143. Furthermore, contrary to the view that the best performance of experts in the aromatic recognition would be due to their higher semantic capacity, another study by the same group has concluded that, at least with regard to olfaction, perceptual capacity is critical for knowledge wine expertise. 144. A comparison made through functional MRI on brain activation areas in Sommeliers and laypersons, controls, after stimulation with glucose or wine, has shown that the pattern of activity differs between them. The activation of the prefrontal. 141 Johann Olmenberg and Anna Dreber. When does the price affect the taste? Results from a wine experiment. SSE/EFI Working Paper Series in Economics and Finance, No. 717, 2009. Cited 2014 February. Available from http://hdl. Handle net/10419/56240. 142 Angus L. Husen and Robert A. Borks. The Knowing Knows, the Role of Knowledge in Wine Expertise. Food Quill Prefer. 2002, 13, 7-846-3-72. 143 Wendy V. Parrott al. The Nose Knows, Influence of Color on Perception of Wine Aroma. J. Wine Res. 2003, 14, 2-379-101. 144 Wendy V. Parrott al. Demystifying Wine Expertise, Olfactory Threshold, Perceptual Skill and Semantic Memory in Expert and Novice Wine Judges. Chemistry Senses. 2002, 27, 8747-55. 42. Dorsolateral cortex is significant in sommeliers, but not in controls. This region, linked to high-level cognitive processes such as working memory and the selection of behavioral strategies, may be important in optimizing or modifying behavioral strategies linked to taste. This difference may be responsible for more refined sensitivity of the combination of olfactory and gustatory perceptions by sommeliers. 145. 1.4. Language. The faithful representation of our experience depends heavily upon language, which allows us to communicate it to others. Language is also a tool to remind us of experiences, thus serving as an aid for memory fixation. In the case of perceptual memory, language is often poor. This lack of a language to describe perceptions is not always recognized, as for other memories, language is usually precise. In this way, conditions are created for the emergence of memory illusions denominated verbal overshadowing, in which the generated verbal representation can be superimposed to the perceptual memory itself. Wine tasting involves individual variation regarding perceptual expertise, wine drinkers versus non-drinkers, and with regard to verbal expertise, trained individuals versus untrained. Moreover, memories of taste and olfaction enhance verbal overshadowing. Melcher and Schuyler compared the performance of individuals to identify wines previously tasted and described, among other samples. Tasters were divided in three categories: those who drink red wine less than once per month, little or no perceptual experience; people who drink red wine at least once a month, moderate perceptual expertise high, and with little or no training, low verbal expertise, and experts. The results showed that verbal overshadowing occurs when there is a large discrepancy between verbal and perceptual expertise. The performance of beginners was at most slightly improved by verbalization. The performance of experts was not modified by verbalization. The performance of the intermediary group with moderate to High perceptual expertise and low verbal expertise was impaired by verbalization 146. In an investigation of the terms used to describe the attributes of the wine, Leschave found that the language varies according to the category and the training of tasters. A comparison of wine descriptors used by ordinary consumers, connoisseurs or 145 Alessandro Castriota Scanderbeg al. The appreciation of wine by sommeliers, a functional magnetic resonance study of sensory integration. Neuroimage. 2005, 25, 2570-8. 146 Joseph M. Melcher and Jonathan W. Schooler. The misremembrance of wine's past, verbal and perceptual expertise differentially mediate verbal overshadowing of taste memory. JMEM Language 1996. 35, 2231-45. 43. Members of a trained panel for descriptive analysis of wine showed that the descriptions from connoisseurs do not explain the expressions of likes and dislikes of consumers. The language used by experts in the description of wine, which is often used for advising lay consumers on what to buy, does not always correspond to their perception. Multivariate analysis of sensory descriptors and the lexicon used to describe wine showed that similar words may refer to different perceptions to connoisseurs and consumers. The same word used by one or other of these groups can refer to a different sensory perception, and, adversely, different words used by these two groups can refer to a single perception. Sensory descriptive analysis, which accurately describes and quantifies the sensory attributes of wines, can be a valuable tool in the translation of the consumer's descriptors in well-defined sensory attributes. 147. Tasting made by experts is supposedly analytical. Thus, the expression of such tasting should be organized around the different senses involved in it: vision, olfaction, taste and somesthesia. In order to verify this, Brochet and Morat used a specific software to analyze the co-occurrence of words in a text and to group them into lexical fields. This software was applied to 4 important wine tasting corpuses, and the results suggested that the tasting notes contained therein do not strictly follow a sensory analytical model. Lexical fields, which were established by analysis, contain a visual, an olfactory, and a gustatory descriptor, forming groups associated to a type of wine, thus establishing wine prototypes. The study concluded that the description of the experts is based on prototypes, which are related to the color aspects of the wine. Furthermore, tasting notes combine sensory properties with other non-sensory properties, use hedonistic and idealistic values, and are individual, therefore making sense especially to the taster himself. Each expert has his own strategies in the construction of tasting notes, which are not shared with other experts and probably with consumers, making the understanding among them difficult. 148. People associated with the wine market, such as wholesalers, retailers and importers, are characterized by having great experience but little formal training in evaluating wines. Often, their purchasing decisions are influenced by analyses of tasters with higher levels of formal training. Therefore, the effectiveness of communication. 147 Isabelle Leschave. The use of sensory descriptive analysis to gain a better understanding of consumer wine language. In 3rd International Wine Business and Marketing Research Conference École Nationale Supérieure Agronomique, Montpellier, France, July 6-7-8, 2006. Cited 2014 February. Available from http://academyofwinebusiness.com/wp content/uploads/2010/05/Leshave. RTF. PDF. 148 Frederic Brochet and Denis Dubadieu. Wine descriptive language supports cognitive specificity of chemical senses. Brain Language 2001, 77, 2187-96. 44. Between groups of experienced tasters, with different levels of formal training in wine. Competition is of great importance to the wine business. The identification of wines from their descriptions can be a measure of their accuracy and communicative value. The performance of two groups of tasters for recognizing 3 Australian Chardonnay wines, from their descriptions produced beforehand, was studied. One group consisted of individuals who worked in wine-related activities, however without any formal training. The other group was composed of enology students with 109 hours of structured training in evaluating wines. This group was divided into 2 others, with the same number of members, one of which tasted and described the wines, which were then supplied to the second half of the trained students and to the untrained group. Along with the wines, the descriptions produced by half the trained students were provided. The main object of the investigation was the correct matching between the descriptions provided and the matched wines. It has been concluded that the matching success was higher in both groups than if it were simply left by chance. However, the performance of the trained group was significantly better. In a second experiment, a group of enologists produced consensual descriptions of the wines that were presented to the group with no training, in another session of tasting and matching. The matching performance of the untrained group was significantly greater with consensual descriptions, produced by enologists, than with the descriptions produced by their peers. The results also seem to indicate that the descriptions are interpreted by both the group with no training and by the trained group synthetically instead of analytically. 149. 1.5. Information. The information about what is being tasted can change sensory perception by introducing an important bias in the assessment. The identification and subsequent naming of odors is seldom a consensus task. It has been found that the identification of aromas repeatedly presented at sequential tasting sessions is more consistent when lists of names of the odorants are not provided in advance and when the choice of names for 149 Richard Gorel. The use of language by trained and untrained experienced wine tasters. J. Sens Stud. 1997, 12, 4267-84. 45. Odors was free and up to each taster. Therefore, providing verbal cues decreases the performance in identifying reintroduced odors. 150. Identity information of a food product can, in itself, influence the perception of basic tastes. In one experiment 10 solutions with varying concentrations of sucrose, sweet, NaCl, salty, tartaric acid, sour, quinine, bitter, and monosodium glutamate umami, were labeled with names of familiar foods for the tasters: lemon, consomme, soup, coffee jelly and candy caramel, or random numbers. The group of tasters who tasted the samples labeled with food names provided more familiarity and liking ratings when compared with the rates assigned by the group who tasted the samples labeled with numbers. This effect increased with the perception of congruence between label, name and taste of the sample. 151. 150 Claire Salmontrosit al. Odor naming methodology, correct identification with multiple choice versus repeatable identification in a free task. Chemistry Senses. 2005, 30, 123-7. 151 Meizako Okamoto et al. Influences of food name labels on perceived tastes. Chemistry Senses. 2009, 34, 3187-94. 46. Discussion. The section about the anatomy and physiology of the sense organs, in the beginning of this paper, shows significant progress made in recent years in the understanding of sensory mechanisms. The great development of molecular biology and genomics have led to unraveling many processes involved in the generation of sensations by effective stimuli on the sensory receptors and their transmission to neural centers, which will identify and evaluate them. A reflection of this intense research activity is the granting of 2 Nobel Prizes to researchers who studied molecular sensory mechanisms in the last decade. The 2012 Nobel Prize in Chemistry was awarded to Robert J. Lefkowitz and Brian K. Kobilka for their studies on receptors coupled to G proteins. Richard Axel and Linda Buck won the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine 2004 for their discovery of odorants receptors and the organization of the olfactory system. 152. With regard to wine, a considerable amount of scientific research has been made to investigate its chemical composition and the relationship among its components and its organoleptic characteristics. 153,154,155. A greater knowledge about the chemical composition of wine and a better understanding of how it generates its organoleptic characteristics are not sufficient to address the enormous difficulties involved in wine tasting. An accurate chemical description of a wine does not bring a mental representation of it. The taste of a wine is in our minds and not in the bottle. 156. The elucidation of the molecular mechanisms involved in sensory reception, in addition to the discovery of afferent sensory pathways and their central projection, are also not sufficient to answer a central question in 152 Nobel Foundation Nobel Prize. Cited 2014 March. Available from http://www. Nobel Prize. org/Nobel_prizes/medicine/laureates/ 153 Pavlopolkov, Hersaj J., Ibila S.E. Wine Flavor, Chemistry in a Glass. Chemistry Sock Revelation. 2008, 37, 11 2478-89. 154 Michael Chienit al. Development of aroma compounds in Pinot Noir grapes and their relative importance in wine, Year 1. Cited 2014 Jan. Available from http:// Oregon State edu/sites/auri org/files/documents/wine_progress_reports/2002 03 %20 of %20 aroma %20 compounds %20 in %20 peanut %20 noi %20 grapes %20 and %20 there %20 relative %20 importance %20 in %20 wine %20 year %201 PDF 155 Remedios a Villamor. The impact of wine components on the chemical and sensory properties of wines. Dissertation. Washington, D.C., Washington State University, 2012. Cited March 2013. Available from http://research. Sulibs. Su. edu//bisstream/2376/4173/4173/villamor_score/su_02512e_104225 PDF sequence equals 1 156 Frederick Brochet Legaut du Vin Conscience. J. int sci vin vin. 1999, 33, Species 19-23. 47. Cognitive neuroscience. In what way is stimulus information represented in the central nervous system? Some progress in this area has been achieved with studies using methods such as functional magnetic resonance imaging and positron emission. Tomography 157,158,159. In addition to purely sensory aspects, other influences such as idealist, hedonic, and life experiences exert influence over the taster. The phenomenal character of sensory experiences has intrinsic, consciously accessible, non-representational features. Their qualia. Thus, sensory experience is strictly personal, and particularly, regarding chemical senses, it provides difficult communication 160,161,162. The communication of critical judgment, as discussed above, is prototypical and it follows personal strategies 163. These difficulties inevitably incite questions about the accuracy and reproducibility of the evaluations made by experts and wine critics. The opinions of the critics are far from being uniform. One study compared the assessment from 3 reputable critics, Robert Parker, Chancis Robinson and James Suckling, for 2004 vintage Bordeaux wines. It was concluded that the agreement between Parker and Suckling was reasonable, whereas there was considerable disagreement between Parker and Robinson 164. Another study was designed to verify whether consumers recognized wines from their description by specialized critics. Initially, the discerning taste of the participants was tested by means of a triangular test. Among subjects who were able to distinguish 157 Frederick Brochet. La dégustation, étude des représentations des objets chimiques dans le champ de la conscience. Paris, Académie Morim, 2001. Cited 2014 March. Available from http://www. Académie Amorim. com/documents/brochet. PDF 158 John Doherty et al. Representation of pleasant and aversive taste in the human brain. J. Neurophysiol. 285, 1315-21. 159 Robert J. Zator. Processing of olfactory affective information, contribution of functional imaging. Studies. In, Ruby C., Scobie, Dubois D., Gervais R., Holio, editors. Olfaction, Taste, and Cognition. Cambridge, UK, Cambridge University Press, 2002. p. 324-34. 160 Sophie David. Linguistics Expressions for Odors in French. In, Ruby C., Scobie, Dubois D., Gervais R., Holio, editors. Olfaction, Taste, and Cognition. Cambridge, UK, Cambridge University Press, 2002. p. 82-99. 161 Claire Salmon-Trosset al. Odor Naming Methodology, Correct Identification with Multiple Choice versus Repeatable Identification in a Free Task. Chemistry Senses. 2005, 30, 123-7. 162 Claire Salmon-Trosset al. You'll Never Drink Alone, Wine Tasting and Aesthetic Practice. In, LFF. Editor. Wine and Philosophy, A Symposium on Thinking and Drinking. Malden, Ma., Blackwell Publishing. 2008 p. 157-71. 163 Frederic Brochet and Denis Duberdieu. Wine Descriptive Language Supports Cognitive Specificity of Chemical Senses. Brain Language 2001, 77, 2187-96. 164 Dom Sikiti. Documented Disagreement Among Wine Experts, A Rational Response for Consumers. In AAWE 4th Annual Conference UC Davis, Davis, California June 25-28, 2010. Cited 2014 March. Available from http://AIC. UC Davis. edu/orconf/abstracts/Sikiti. PDF. 48. The different wine in the triangular test, therefore exhibiting a good tasting judgment. Only 51% were able to match the wines with their respective descriptions contained in The Wine Advocate Magazine 165. The consistency among judges at wine contests in assigning scores or awards has great importance when these experts participate in series of tasting sessions in major contests or in consecutive contests, in which the same wines may be present for judgment. To investigate the quality of judges and their overall performance, a study by Hodgson was conducted over 4 consecutive years in a large Californian wine fair. California State Fair from 2005 to 2008. In this yearly contest, during the evaluation period, about 3,000 wines in 4 to 6 flights per day are tasted. The flights usually consisted of 30 wines. 4 triplicate samples, same wine from the same bottle, were served to 16 panels of jurors, inserted in one of the flights. The ability of a juror to evaluate consistently replicated samples of an identical wine was investigated. The findings showed that the judges were utterly consistent in only 18% of cases, mainly for the low-scored wines. Another conclusion was that the best performance in relation to the consistency observed in a year did not necessarily correlate with the best performance in the following year. An analysis of variance, ANOVA, was performed for each panel to check if the source of variation was the quality of the wine, the jury's bias and inconsistency, or both. The compilation of these analyses, from 2005 to 2008, showed that in only 50% of the time, the wine was the significant factor of the score assigned. For the other half, other factors played a significant role in the assigned score 166. By evaluating prizes awarded to wines participating in contests, strong inconsistency has been found. A study of 13 California wine contests identified, from a database of 4,167 wines, California grapevine, 375 that participated in the same 5 contests. Out of these, no wine received a gold medal in 5 contests, or even in 4 of them. 6 wines won 3 gold medals, 21 2 and 106 won 1. A total of 75% of the wines that received a gold medal received no awards in other contests, while 23% received a bronze medal. Thus, the possibility of winning at least 1 gold medal, for these wines that participated in the 5 contests is high, 35%. On the other hand, 98% of the wines that won gold medals did not win any medals or won just a bronze medal in at least one of the 4 other contests. 165 Roman L. Vile. Debunking critics' wine words. Can one distinguish the smell of asphalt from the taste of cherries? No accounting for taste. J. Wyneken. 2007, 2, 2136-44. 166 Robert T. Hodgson. An examination of judge reliability at a major U.S. wine competition. J. Wyneken. 2008, 3, 2105-13. 49. When the medals granted were converted to numerical scores, using a scale of 18 points starting at 80, it was found that the correlations between the scores awarded to wines in 13 contests were very weak, where the best correlation was 0.33 and the median only 0.10. Therefore, there is no correlation between the performance of a wine in a contest and its performance in another contest. It was concluded that there was practically no consensus on the quality of wines in 13 contests. It is quite possible that the wines, which were awarded a gold medal in a particular contest, will not receive the same award, or receive another different medal in other contests. Moreover, the odds of receiving a gold medal may be statistically explained by chance only 167. Perhaps these differences can be explained by the inconsistency of the jury. Despite these limitations, a considerable part of the quality wine market is influenced by personal opinions of critics or groups of critics representing specialized publications. Critics act in 2 ways, like judges, applying their training, knowledge and experience to decide if a wine meets certain conventional standards approved for a type of wine, or when there are no established standards, they act in determining these patterns, based on their idiosyncratic preferences. This critical activity influences consumers who rely on this information, tasting notes, scores, to define their options. Furthermore, producers in their production and pricing strategies use the quality parameters, which are employed by critics to assess wines. 168. An alarming consequence of these findings is that producers, driven by market pressures generated by reviews from influential critics, may begin to develop stereotypes of wines designed to meet this specific demand. The result could be the homogenization of wines, produced to meet the personal taste of a certain critic, who, in turn, assigns higher scores to the wine that, consequently, will achieve greater commercial success. This process would lead to a decrease of diversity and a threat to the typicity of terroir wines. The influence of the score from experts over wine price is a matter of great debate. To evaluate this interference in the market, Lecoq and Vizerbe conducted a large study. Data were obtained from structured databases generated by 167 Robert T. Hodgson. An analysis of the concordance among 13 U.S. wine competitions. J. Wine. Econ. 2009, 411-9. 168 Greta HSU, Peter W. Roberts and Anand Swaminathan. Standards for Quality and the Coordinating Role of Critics. 2007. Cited 2014 March. Available from http://site/6. ist. Su. edu/viewdoc/download, do equals 10. 11. 151 5007 and rep equals rep1 and type equals PDF. 50. Experimental studies conducted by the National Institute of Consumption in France in 1992, 1993 and 2001. The first sample consisted of 519 wines from Bordeaux, the second 613 wines from Burgundy and the third, 255 wines from Bordeaux. A technique called hedonic price functions was used, which constitutes a regression analysis of price versus other characteristics to determine which of them are effectively significant. In this study, the objective characteristics investigated for each of the three sets of wines were name, color, ranking, designation of origin and vintage. The sensory characteristics were established by blind tasting by experts, and their olfactory and gustatory impressions were recorded. Tasters assigned scores 0 to 20 to the wines as a measure of quality. The conclusion was that most of the price differences between the wines from these sets were due to objective data, available on the label for the consumer, such as ranking, vintage and designation of origin. Scores by experts have a significant and positive impact on the price of wine, although less than any objective variable. 169. A U.S. study investigated the price-quality relation of California wines using the model of quality indices. The indices used were the medals received in 9 tasting events in 1995. A medal received in a particular tasting session produced a quality index for a specific wine, in which the value assigned was 1. Wines with no medals were assigned the value 0. For example, the variable SFMedal, medal received at San Francisco Fair, took the value of 1 when the wine received a medal, and 0 if it did not. The sample consisted of 1884 different wines that won at least 1 medal in one of these tasting events in 1995. The objective of this investigation was to determine which indices would be the best measures for wine quality and the relationship to its final consumer price. Enrollment in these tasting events required the information of the suggested retail price. It has been demonstrated that some tastings events, San Francisco, Orange County, Sacramento and Riverside, had a greater positive impact on the composition of prices, while others, New World International and San Diego, appear to have had a significantly negative impact. Varietal wines from Cabernet Sauvignon, Chardonnay, Pinot Noir and Merlot showed above-average prices. A medal won at a tasting event in San Francisco added $3.65 to the price of a bottle. At the tasting event in Orange County, a medal added $2.33. In Sacramento, 169 Sebastian Lecoq and Michael Vizerb. What determines wine prices, objective versus sensory? Characteristics. J. Wyneken. 2006, 142.56. 51. There was an increase of $1.89, and in Riverside, the increase was $2.02. In New World International and San Diego, $1.14 and $1.02 were subtracted, respectively, from the price of a bottle. 4-year Chardonnays were priced at $3.36 higher than expected. 4. Cabernet Sauvignon, winning a medal at the tasting in San Francisco, had the price raised in approximately $6.07. Medals received at San Francisco or Sacramento tastings raised the price of a bottle of Merlot in approximately $3.50. 4 medals conferred at the Orange County tasting event, the increase was $2.86. Having won a medal at San Francisco tasting event, Pinot Noir wines had an increase of approximately $5.32. The conclusion was that winning a medal in the tastings events of San Francisco, Orange County and / or Sacramento was associated with higher price and quality for the award-winning wine. 170. The impact from the scores assigned by influential critic Robert Parker U.S. in setting prices was well demonstrated for Bordeaux wines belonging to the 2002 vintage. From 1994 to 2002, Parker visited Bordeaux in the spring which followed the harvest to taste the wine's EN primer. The scores he assigned were usually published in the April issue of his magazine, Wine Advocate, and producers set prices for sale, EN primer, after a few weeks. In 2003, Parker visited the region and evaluated the wines in the beginning of September when prices had already been set. The average of the scores awarded to wines and the average prices of the two vintages were then compared. The scores for the 2001 vintage were slightly higher than those of 2002 and their apparent quality was similar. However, the prices of the two vintages differed markedly. For the 2001 vintage, wine's bottles cost on average €3 more than in 2002. The price variance was also much higher for the 2001 vintage. Similarly, the correlation between score and prices was stronger for this vintage than for that of 2002. The impact on prices is much more noticeable in wines that received high scores, reaching €10 per bottle. 171. Within a classic economic concept which dictates that in a stable market, with perfectly informed consumers, prices should remain in balance, it would be expected that the role of wine critics, providing more information to consumers, would contribute to price convergence to a quality-adjusted equilibrium. However, a study to investigate 170 Tony Lima. Price and Quality in the California Wine Industry, an Empirical Investigation. J. Wine. Econ. 2006, 1-2176-90. 171 Hella Haj Ali, Sebastian Lecoq and Michael Visser. The Impact of Gurus, Parker Grades and E.N. Primer Wine Prices. 2007. Cited 2013 December. Available from http://ms. U Paris 2. fr/doctrave/0718. PDF. 52. The Influence of Critics on Price Deviation from the Predicted Equilibrium, adjusted for quality and, with full information, concluded that the very opposite occurs. American Wines evaluated by the Wine Spectator magazine between 1984 and 2008, were studied. The dispersion of the price/quality ratio has increased with the level of exposure of wine to criticism in the past. The dispersion also increased with the level of maximum scores obtained by the wine. This is enhanced when the difference between the highest score and the average score is large. These two effects are more intense for lower quality wines, imposing an overpricing to mid-quality wines. 172. Another interesting survey studied the relationship between the scores awarded to blindly tasted wines and their prices. A total of 523 wines were tasted by 506 volunteers, in 17 double-blind tasting sessions. Neither the people in charge for the service, nor the tasters had any information about the wines, except their color. About 12% of participants had some training in assessing wines and they were called experts. The results indicate that the correlation between score and price is small and negative. On average, except for experts, tasters tend to enjoy expensive wines a bit less. Another consideration from these results is that the average consumer cannot benefit from assessments made by experts simply because they do not enjoy the same type of wine. Experts do. 173. Given all these difficulties and uncertainties in the information that is provided to the wine market, and particularly to the lay final consumer, by experts and specialized critics, how should one go about choosing the right wine? How can one be sure that the description of the characteristics of the wine produced by critics matches the feelings that will be experienced when consuming that wine? The descriptive quantitative analysis could be a reliable tool in determining the sensory profile of wines. Its advantages would be confidence in the judgment of a team of 10 to 12 trained tasters, the development of an objective descriptive language closer to the consumer's language, the consensual development of descriptive terminology to be used, and the repetitions of blind tests performed by all the judges, with statistical. 172 Karl Storchman, Alexander Mitterling and Aaron Lee. The detrimental effect of expert opinion on price-quality dispersion evidence from the wine market. AAWE Working Paper. Economics. 2012. 118. Cited 2013 December. Available from http://www. wineeconomics.org/or/WP. Content/uploads/2012/10/AAWE_WP118. PDF. 173 Robin Goldstein et al. Do more expensive wines taste better? Evidence from a large sample of blind tastings. J. Wyneken. 2008, 311-9. 53. Analysis 174. As previously discussed, the application of quantitative descriptive sensory analysis is complex and difficult, and its adoption as an information generator tool for communication of the wine industry with consumers is still very restricted. Alternative methods have been proposed, such as mapping register trademark symbol, by which a series of samples are evaluated by their geometric distribution on a two-dimensional space, according to similarities or differences between them detected by the evaluators, complemented by descriptive methods such as ultra-flash profile and free profile. 175,176. Specific characteristics of the wine, as its astringency can be described and evaluated by both the conventional descriptive analysis 177 with simpler methods such as the descriptive method based on frequency of citation for odor profiling 178 and free choice profiling to evaluate color and appearance 179. Still, these more accurate forms of sensory description are underused and fail to guide the consumer. An alternative would be the one proposed by Jancis Robinson, according to which the consumer would benefit from reading the comments from a single wine critic and building a correlation of such critics' comments with his own opinion, in order to understand the critic's taste and preferences. This correlation would form the basis for interpreting future reviews, facilitating the selection of wines when purchasing. 180. Nevertheless, the construction of this correlation demands many years and presupposes the maintenance of the critic's criteria all along this period. 174. Jorge Herman Baransand, Maria Aparecida Azevedo P. da Silva. Perfil sensorial de vinhos brancos. Variedades brasileiras através da análise descritiva quantitativa. Ciência Tecnologia. 2000, 20, 160-7. 175. Jerome Pages. Collection and analysis of perceived product interdistances using multiple factor analysis, application to the study of 10 white wines from the Loire Valley. Food Quill Prefer. 2005, 16, 7642-9. 176. Lucy Perrin et al. Comparison of 3 sensory methods for use with the Napping Register trademark symbol procedure, case of 10 wines from Loire Valley. Food Quill Prefer. 2008, 19, 11-11. 177. Margreta Cliff, Marjorie Seeking and Jimmy Schlosser. Anthocyanin, phenolic composition, color, measurement and sensory analysis of BC commercial red wines. Food Res Int. 2007, 40, 192-100. 178. Eva Campo et al. Comparison of conventional descriptive analysis and a citation frequency-based descriptive method for odor profiling, an application to Burgundy Pinot Noir wines. Food Quill Prefer. 2010, 21, 144-55. 179. Eduardo Cristovam, Alistair Patterson and John R. Piggott. Differentiation of port wines by appearance. Using a sensory panel, comparing free choice and conventional profiling. Your Food Res Technol. 2000, 211, 165-71. 180 Jancis Robinson. Confissões de Humoramento de Vinhos. São Paulo, DBA Artes Gráficas, 2008. p.259. 54. Conclusions. We have seen that the information generated by critics is often inconsistent and difficult to interpret. The terms used in their reviews are often inaccurate and bear little relation to the sensations usually perceived by consumers. Routine sensory analysis with scientific methodology is difficult to implement, and its results would need to be transcribed into ordinary language for ordinary consumers. We conclude that amateur wine consumers are somewhat helpless when seeking guidance for buying wine bottles that best suit their preferences. I firmly believe that the best alternative for the true wine lover is to belong to an association of wineophiles and participate in its tasting sessions. This way, amateurs will have the opportunity to taste numerous wines and discuss about them with their peers without having to buy them, and, after having established their own opinion, they could safely purchase the wines of their predilection. 55. References. Adler E., Hunma, Mueller K.L., Chandrasekhar J., Rabar N.J., Zucker C.S. A Novel Family of Mammalian Taste Receptors. Cell. 2000, 100:693-702. Ali H. Lecoq S., Vizurx M. The Impact of Gurus, Parker Grades and E.N. Primer. Wine Prices. 2007. Cited 2013 December. Available from http://ams.u. Paris 2.fr/doctrave/0718.pdf. Olmenberg J., Dreber. When does the price affect the taste? Results from a wine experiment. SSE/EFI Working Paper Series in Economics and Finance, No. 717, 2009. Cited 2014 February. Available from http://hdl.handle.net/10419/56240. Alvarez Rodriguez M.L., Lopez Ocana L., Lopez Corona do J.M., Rodriguez E., Martinez M.J., Larabar G., It al. Cork Taint of Wines, Role of the filamentous fungi isolated from cork in the formation of 2,4,6-trichloronisol biomethylation of 2,4,6-trichlorophenol. Apple Environ Microbiol. 2002, 68:5860-9. Amor J. Specific anosmia and the concept of primary odors. Chemistry Senses Flavor. 1977, 2, 3267-81. Aruda D. The periglomeral cell of the olfactory bulb and its role in the odor processing, a computational model, thesis. Ribeirão Preto, S.P., Faculdade de Filosofia, Ciências e Letras de Ribeirão Preto, 2010. 75f. Cite Thus 2013. Available from http://www.tisis.asp.br/59//59135/1915//d-2309201017519/forward/d-230920101.br.php. Armatel Mr. Sensory Analysis in Quality Control, the gin as an example. Cited 2013. December. Available from http://www.intechOpen.com/download/get/type/pdfs/id/23744. Bachmann Orphae, Kiefer S.W., Molina J.C., Tordorf M.G., Duffy V.B., Bartoshuk L.M. Menela J.A. Chemosensory factors influencing alcohol perception, preferences, and consumption. Alcohol Clean EXP Res. 2003, 27, 2220-31. Bajek Mr., Pickering G.J. Astringency, Mechanisms and Perception. Crid Rev Food. SCI Neuter. 2008, 48:858-75. Bauschen S., Spranger I Review, Quantitative Extraction and Analysis of Grape and Wine. Proanthocyanidins and Stilbens. Sieng Tekvativ. 20:59-89 2005. Available from http://www.silo.ocs.mctis.pdf/v20n2/v20n2a01.pdf. Bartoshuk L.M., Duffy V.B., Miller I.J. PTC/prop tasting, anatomy, psychophysics, and sex effects. Physiol Behav. 1994, 56, 1165-71. 56. Bartoshuk L.M. Comparing sensory experiences across individuals, recent psychophysical advances illuminate genetic variation in taste perception. Chemistry Senses. 2000, 25, 4447-60. Baums are wine aroma precursors. In, Maurino Aribas MV, Polo MC, editors. Wine. Chemistry and Biochemistry. New York, Springer, 2009. P251-74. Burns J.H., Silva M.A. Perfil sensorial de vinhos brancos veritais brasileiros através de análise descritiva quantitativa. Sieng Technol Aliment. 2000, 20, 160-7. Burns J.H. Minicourses 2010, Fundamentals and Techniques of Sensory Analysis. Regional Council of Chemistry, Region 4, SP. Cited 2014 Jan. Available from http://www.crq4.org.br/sms/file/analyze_2010.pdf. Bowmaker J.K., Dartnell H.J. Visual pigments of rods and cones in a human retina. J. Physiol. 1980, 298:501-11. Bremner E.A., Mainland J.D., Khan R.M., Sobel N. The Prevalence of Androstenone. Ainersmeyer. Chemistry Senses. 2003, 28, 5423-32. Brochet F. La dégustation, étude des représentations des objets chimiques dans le champ de la conscience. Paris, Académie Morim, 2001. Cited 2014 March. Available from http://www.academie-amorim.com/documents/brochet.pdf. Brochet F. Le Gout du Vin conscience. J. int SCI Vin Vin. 1999, 33, Specis 19-23. Brochet F. D. Wine descriptive language supports cognitive specificity of chemical senses. Brain Language 2001, 77, 2187-96. Brochet F. Morat, G. Influence du contexte sur la perception du VIN implications. Cognitive sit methodologiques. J. int SC Ivin VIN. 1999, 33, 4187-92. Buck L., Axel R. A novel multigeny family may encode odorant receptors, a molecular basis for odor recognition. Cell. 1991, 65:175-87. Buck Pound. Unraveling the Sense of Smell. Nobel Lecture, 8 December, 2004. p.267-83. Cited 2013 December. Available from http://www.nobelprizes/nobel_prizes/medicine/prizes/laureates/buck-lecture.pdf. Campo E., Borlister J., Langlois J., Dacamont C., Valentin D. Comparison of conventional descriptive analysis and a citation frequency-based descriptive method for odor profiling, an application to Burgundy Pinot Noir wines. Food Quill Prefer. 2010. 21, 144-55. Castriota Skanderbegger, Hagberg G. Kiroza, Comitary G. Galati G. Patria F. et al. The Appreciation of Wine by Sommeliers, a functional magnetic resonance study of sensory integration. Neuroimage. 2005, 25, 2570-8. 57. Chandrasekhar J., Hunma, Rabar N.J., Zuka C.S. The Receptors and Cells for Mammalian Taste. Nature. 2006, 444:288-94. Shodhari N., Pereira E., Roper S.D. Taste Receptors for Umami, the Case for Multiple Receptors. Jacqueline Neuter. 2009, 90:738S742S. Shodhari N., Roper S.D. The Cell Biology of Taste. J. Cell Biol. 2010, 190:285-96. Sikati D. Documented disagreement among wine experts, a rational response for consumers. In AAWE 4th Annual Conference UC Davis, California June 25. 28, 2010. Cited 2014 March. Available from http://aic.ucdavis.edu/orconf/abstracts/sikati.pdf. Cliff Ma, King M.C., Schlosser J. Anthocyanin, Phenolic Composition, Color Measurement and Sensory Analysis of BC Commercial Red Wines. Food Res Int. 2007. 40, 192-100. Collins T. Tannins, Types and Amounts in Grapes and Wines. In New York Wine Industry Workshop Proceedings, Geneva, NY, 2–4 April 2003. Cited 2014 Jan. Available from http://locale.manlib.cornell.edu/gsdl/kgi-bin/library.kgi, A equals Q and R equals 1 and HS equals 1 and E equals Q01000000 off 0 wipe 001010000. 0 direct 10401L11 EN5020 about Tanis 0031000040001110. 0 at ZZ8-00 and T equals 1 and Q equals tannins. Christovami, Patterson, Piggott Jr. Differentiation of port wines by appearance using a sensory panel, comparing free choice and conventional profiling. Your Food Res. Technol. 2000, 211, 165-71. Cruz AG, K. Dina RS, Walter A., Mortars Avianum, Granato D., Faria J. Bullin IHM. Sensory Analysis, Relevance for Probiotic, Probiotic, and Symbiotic Product Development. Comparev Food SCI Food SAF. 2010, 9, 4358-73. Dalton P. Psychophysical and Behavioral Characteristics of Olfactory Adaptation. Chemistry. Senses. 2000, 25, 4487-92. Dariet P., Lavigne Crouch V., Tuminaga Tun Paradoxu, Les Composes Soufas Volatiles. Responsables de defaults it de qualites dans les vins. J. int SCI Vin VIN. 1999. 33, Spec 137-43. David S. Linguistics Expressions for Odors in French. In, Ruby C., Scabi, Dubois. D. Gervais R., Hollier, editors. Olfaction, Taste, and Cognition. Cambridge, UK. Cambridge University Press, 2002. p.82-99. De Erorjo IE, Rolls ET, Kringelbach ML, McGlone F., Phillips N. Taste Olfactory Convergence, and the Representation of the Pleasantness of Flavor, in the Human Brain. Your J. Neurosci. 2003, 18, 7 2059-68. 58. Vilar L. Debunking Critics' Wine Words. Can one distinguish the smell of asphalt from the taste of cherries? No accounting for taste. J. Wyneken. 2007, 2, 2136-44. Derbyshire D. Wine Tasting, It's Junk Science. The Guardian The Observer. 2013 the 23rd of June. Cited 2013 December. Available from http://www.theguardian.com/life-and-style/2013/wine-tasting-junk-science. Analysis. Drew Nowskier, Henderson Sa, Shaw A.B. Genetic sensitivity to 6N-propylthiouracil. Prop, and hedonic responses to bitter and sweet tastes. Chemistry Senses. 1997, 22, 127. 37. Dubois-Du Tuminaga T polyfunctional thiol compounds. In, Moreno Aribas MV. Polo MC, editors. Wine Chemistry and Biochemistry. New York, Springer, 2009. p.275-93. Duffy V.B., Peterson J.M., Bartoshuk L.M. Associations between taste genetics, oral sensation and alcohol intake. Physiol Behav. 2004, 82, 2-3-435-45. Frank Ra, Byram J. Taste-smell interactions are tastant and odorant dependent. Chemistry. Senses. 1988, 13, 3445-55. Gore L.R., Oberholster, Francis I.L. A Mouthfeel Wheel, Terminology for Communicating the Mouthfeel Properties of Red Wine. Ost J. Grape Wine Res. 2000. 6203-7. Gore L.R. The Use of Language by Trained and Untrained Experienced Wine Tasters J. Sense Stud. 1997, 12, 4267-84. Gibbs M., Tapia M., Warzinski F. Globalization, Superstars, and Reputation, Theory and Evidence from the Wine Industry. J. Wine Econom. 2009, 4, 149-64. Available from http://www.wine-economics.org/journal/volume-4/2009-no-1/. Godden P., Latte K., Francis L., Chishan M., Cowie G., Holdstockett A.L. Towards offering wine to the consumer in optimal condition. The wine, the closures and other packaging variables, a review of a RI research examining the changes that occur in wine after bottling. Wine in J 2005, 2:20-30. Cited 2014 Jan. Available from http://www. leonardlee.screwcapinitiative.com/upload/20_4% 20 report.pdf. Godfrey Pa, Malnick B., Buck Pound. The Mouse Olfactory Receptor Gene Family. Proc National. Acad SCI USA 2004, 101:2156-61. Goldstein R., Olmenberg J., Dreber, Emerson J. W., Hirschkowitz Ch., Katz J. Do more. Expensive wines taste better. Evidence from a large sample of blind tastings. J. Wine. Econ. 2008, 3, 11-9. 59. Gottfried J. Dolan R.J. The nose smells what the eye sees, cross-modal visual facilitation of human olfactory perception. Neuron. 2003, 39, 2375-86. Gyo S.W., Reed D.R. The Genetics of Phenylthiocarbamide Perception. Anhum Biol. 2001, 28, 2111-42. Hayes J.E., Bartoszuk L.M., Kidd Jr., Duffy V.B. Super tasting and prop bitterness depends on more than the TAS2R38 gene. Chemistry Senses. 2008, 33, 3255-65. Hodgson R.T. An analysis of the concordance among 13 U.S. wine competitions. J. Wine. Econ. 2009, 4, 11-9. Hodgson R.T. An examination of judge reliability at a major U.S. wine competition. J. Wine Econ. 2008, 3, 2105-13. Hoonma, Adler E., Lindemeyer J., Batty J.F., Rabar N.J., Zucker C.S. Putative mammalian. Taste receptors, a class of taste-specific GPCRs with distinct topographic selectivity. Cell. 1999, 96, 4541-51. HSUG, Roberts P.W., Swaminathan Standards for Quality and the Coordinating Role of Critics. 2007. Cited 2014 March. Available from http://view.forward/download?/view.forward/download.1.1.1.51007 PDF. Hwangya, Maruyama Y, Stimaka, Roper SD. Presynaptic, Type 3, cells in mouse. Taste buds sense sour, acid, taste. J. Physiol. 2008, 586:2903-12. Husen Borksra. The Knowing Knows, the Role of Knowledge in Wine Expertise. Food Quill Prefer. 2002, 13, 7-8-463-72. Humes Low, Busey Ta, Craig J.C., Q. Laporte D. The Effects of Age on Sensory Thresholds and Temporal Gap Detection in Hearing, Vision, and Touch. Aton Percept. Psychophys. 2009, 71, 4860-71. Hummel T., Haleman S., Murphy C. Age-related changes in chemosensory functions. In Ruby C., Scobie, Dubois D., Gervais R. and Holio, editors. Olfaction, Taste, and Cognition. Cambridge, Cambridge University Press, 2002. Ionario M., Manicera M., Piccolo D., Zuccolotto P. Sensory Analysis in the Food Industry. As a Tool for Marketing Decisions. ADV Data Anal Classif. 2012, 6, 4303-21. International Organization of Vine and Wine. Statistical Report on World Vitiviniculture. 2012, cited 2013 December. Available from http://www.oiv.int/oiv/info/enesmeyer report. International Organization of Vine and Wine. World Vitiviniculture Situation in 2012. In XXXVth World Congress of Vine and Wine Bucharest, 3 June 2013. Cited 2013. 60. December. Available from http://ebookbrowser.net/world-vitiviniculture-situation-in- 2012 PDF D5026999851. Jackson R.S. Chemical Constituents of Grapes and Wine. In Wine Science. Principles, Practice, Perception. 2. NDED. Burlington, Ma, Academic Press, 2000. p.232. 75. Jackson R.S. Olfactory System. In Wine Tasting, a Professional Handbook. London, Academic Press, 2002. p.39-78. Jackson R.S. Post-fermentation treatment and related topics. In Wine Science. Principles, Practice, Perception. 2. NDED. Burlington, Ma, Academic Press, 2000. p.355. 433. Jackson R.S. Sensory Perception and Wine Assessment. In Wine Science. Principles, Practice, Perception. 2nd ed. Burlington, Ma, Academic Press, 2000. p. 544. 90. Kgia K, Inaki K, Tanaka M, Haga T, Kadoka H, 2 Hara K. Molecular bases of odor. Discrimination, reconstitution of olfactory receptors that recognize overlapping sets of odorants. J. Neurosci. 2001, 21:6018-25. Kalonatis M, Law C. Color Perception. In, Kolb H, Fernandez E, Nelson R, editors. WebVision, The Organization of the Retina and Visual System. Copyright 2014. Available from http://webvision.med.utah.edu/book/part-8-gabac-receptors/color- perception/ Kim UK, Breslin Pa, Reed D, Drainer D. Genetics of Human Taste Perception. J. Dent. Res. 2004, 83, 6448-53. Kolb H. Gross Anatomy of the Eye. In, Kolb H., Fernandez E., Nelson R., editors. WebVision, The Organization of the Retina and Visual System. Last updated the 25th of January. 2012. Available from http://webvision.med.utah.edu/book/part-i-foundations/gross- anatomy of the eye/. Kolb H. How the Retina Works. MSCI. 2003, 91:2835. Cited 2013 December. Available from http://www.americanscientist.org/libraries/documents/20058313632_306.pdf. Kolb H. Photoreceptors. In, Kolb H., Fernandez E., Nelson R., editors. WebVision, The Organization of the Retina and Visual System. Last updated the 25th of January, 2012. Available from http://webvision.med.utah.edu/book/part-2-anatomy-and-physiology- of the retina/photoreceptors/. Kringelbach ML. The Human Orbitofrontal Cortex, Linking Reward to Hedonic Experience. Natrev Neurosci. 2005, 6691-702. Lanthony P. La Perception des Couleurs. J. Int SCI Vin VIN. 1999, 33, Specis 59-62. 61. Lecoq S., Viserb M. What determines wine prices, objective versus sensory? Characteristics. J. Wyneken. 2006, 1, 142-56. Lemon Ch, Katz DB. The Neural Processing of Taste. BMC Neurosci. 2007, 8, Serpil. 3S5. Leonard Ali MJ. Acidity in Wine, The Importance of Management Through Measurement. Cited 2014 Jan. Available from http://gui.missouri.edu/publications/2013spring.pdf. Les Chevilles, Noble AC. Polyphenols, factors influencing their sensory properties and their effects on food and beverage preferences. Jacqueline Neuter. 2005, 81, 1 Supple 330s. 5. Les Chavy. The use of sensory descriptive analysis to gain a better understanding of consumer wine language. In 3rd International Wine Business and Marketing Research Conference École Nationale Supérieure Agronomique, Montpellier, France, July 6-7-8. 2006, cited 2014 February. Available from http://academyofwinebusiness.com/wp- content/uploads/2010/05/leshave.rtf.pdf. Lim J., Urban L., Green B. G. Measures of individual differences in taste and creaminess. Perception. Chemistry Senses. 2008, 33, 6493-501. Lima T. Price and Quality in the California Wine Industry, an Empirical Investigation. J. Wyneken. 2006, 1, 2176-90. Lindemann B., Ojawara Y., Ninamiya Y. The Discovery of Umami. Chemistry Senses. 2002, 27, 9843-4. Lundström J.N., 7S, Olsen M.J., Ska B., Hummel T. Olfactory Event Related. Potentials reflect individual differences in odor valence perception. Chemistry Senses. 2006, 31, 8705-11. Malnick B., Godfrey Pa., Buck Pound. The Human Olfactory Receptor Gene Family. Proc National. ACAD SCI USA 2004, 101:2584-9. Malnick B., Hirono J., Sato T., Buck Pound. Combinatorial Receptor Codes for Odors. Cell. 1999, 96:713-23. Margalit Y., Crum J., Editors. Aroma and Flavor. In Concepts in Wine Chemistry. 2nd ed. South San Francisco, CA, The Wine Appreciation Guild, 2004. p.133-92. Margalit Y., Crum J., Editors. Must and Wine Composition. In Concepts in Wine Chemistry. 2. NDED. South San Francisco, CA, The Wine Appreciation Guild, 2004. p.1. 55. 62. Margalit Y., Crum J., Editors. Oak Products, Cooperage and Cork. In Concepts in Wine Chemistry. 2. NDED. South San Francisco, CA, The Wine Appreciation Guild. 2004 p.217-63. Margalit Y., Crum J., Editors. Oxidation and Wine Aging. In Concepts in Wine Chemistry. 2. NDED. South San Francisco, CA, The Wine Appreciation Guild, 2004. p.193-215. Margalit Y., Crum J., Editors. Phenolic Compounds. In Concepts in Wine Chemistry. 2. NDED. South San Francisco, CA, The Wine Appreciation Guild, 2004. p.95. 129. Margalit Y., Crum J., Editors. Wine Faults. In Concepts in Wine Chemistry. 2nd ed. South San Francisco, CA, The Wine Appreciation Guild, 2004. p.331-48. Margolski R.F. Molecular Mechanisms of Bitter and Sweet Taste Transduction. J. Biol. Chemistry. 2002, 277:1-4. Matz Road. Is there a fatty acid taste? Anu Rev Neuter. 2009, 29:305-27. Max M, Shankar YG, Huang L, Rong M, Lu Z, Kampan F, Weinstein H, Damak S. Margolski RF. TARS 1R3, encoding a new candidate taste receptor, is allelic to the sweet. Responsiveness locus SAC. Nat Genet. 2001, 28:58-63. McLaughlin SK, McKinnon PJ, Margolski RF. Gustausin is a taste cell-specific G protein closely related to the transducins. Nature. 1992, 357:563-9. McRae JF, Mainland JD, Giga SR, Adipietro KA, Matsunami H, Newcomb Road. Genetic variation in the odorant receptor or 2J3 is associated with the ability to detect the grassy-smelling odor, CIS3-hexane-1-ol. Chemistry Senses. 2012, 37, 7585-93. Melcher J.M., Schooler, J.W. The Misremembrance of Wines Past, Verbal and Perceptual. Expertise differentially mediate verbal overshadowing of taste memory. JMEM Language. 1996, 35, 2231-45. Miller I.J. Jr., Reedy F.E. Jr. Variations in Human Taste Bud Density and Taste Intensity. Perception. Physial Behav. 1990, 47, 61213-9. Mojit J., Heidi Mar J., Christ Hazel Hofi Taste Perception with Age, Generic or Specific. Losses in suprathreshold intensities of 5 taste qualities. Chemistry Senses. 2003, 28, 5397-413. Montbayer's P genes and ligands for odorant, vomeronasal and taste receptors. Nat Rev. Neurosci. 2004, 5263-78. Montbayer's P7 transmembrane proteins as odorant and chemosensory receptors. Science. 1999, 286:707-11. 63. Morat G., Brochet F., Dubadue D. The Color of Odors. Brain Language 2001, 79, 2309. 20. Nathans J., Piantanida TP, Eddy RL, Shows TB, Hognis DS. Molecular Genetics of Inherited Variation in Human Color Vision. Science. 1986, 232:203-10. Nelson G., Chandrasekhar J., Hoon Ma, Feng L., Zhao G., Rabar N.J., It al. An amino acid. Taste receptor. Nature. 2002, 416:199-202. Nelson G., Hoon Ma, Chandrasekhar J., Zhang Y., Rabar N.J., Zuka C.S. Mammalian. Sweet taste receptors. Cell. 2001, 106:381-90. Nobel Foundation. Nobel Prize. Cited 2014 March. Available from http://www.nobelprize.org/nobelprizes/medicine/laureates/. Adoherty J, Rolls E.T., Francis S., Botel R., McGlone F. Representation of pleasant and aversive taste in the human brain. J. Neurophysiol. 285, 1315-21. Okamoto M., Wada Y., Yamaguchi Y., Kimura O., Dan H., Majuda T., Singh A.K. Clowney L., Dan I. Influences of food name labels on perceived tastes. Chemistry Senses. 2009, 34, 3187-94. Osterbauer R., Matthews P. M., Jenkinson M., Beckman C. F., Hansen P. C., Calvert G. A. Color of sense, chromatic stimuli modulate odor responses in the human brain. J. Neurophysiol. 2005, 93, 3434-41. Pages J. Collection and analysis of perceived product interdistances using multiple factor analysis, application to the study of 10 white wines from the Loire Valley. Food. Quill Prefer. 2005, 16, 7642-9. Par W.V., Heather Bell D., White Kilogram. Demystifying Wine Expertise, Olfactory Threshold. Perceptual Skill and Semantic Memory in Expert and Novice Wine Judges. Chemistry Senses. 2002, 27, 8747-55. Par W.V., White Kilogram, Heather Bell The Nose, Influence of Color on Perception of Wine Aroma. J. Wine Res. 2003, 14, 2-379-101. Pelosi P. Odorant Binding Proteins. Crit Rev Biochem Mol Biol. 1994, 29:199-228. Perez Prieto L.J., Lopez Rica J.M., Gomez Plaza E. Differences in major volatile compounds of red wines according to storage length and storage conditions. J. Food. Comp Anal. 2003, 16:697-705. Perrin L., Simono R., Matra I., Asselin C., Jurgen F., Pages J. Comparison of 3 sensory methods for use with the Napping Register trademark symbol procedure, case of 10 wines from Loire Valley. Food Quill Prefer. 2008, 19, 11-11. 64. Paynordi, Blue in J. Augusto do Vinho. São Paulo, Martins Fontes, 2010. Pickering G.J., Simonkova K., D.I. Batista D. Intensity of taste and astringency sensations elicited by red wines is associated with sensitivity to Prop. 6N-propylthiouracil. Food. Quill Prefer. 2004, 15, 2147-54. Polaskova P., Hersage J., Ibila S.E. Wine Flavor, Chemistry in a Glass. Chemistry Sock Revelation. 2008, 37, 11 2478-89. Prescott J., Norris L., Kunst M., Kim S. Estimating a consumer rejection threshold for cork taint in white wine. Food Quill Prefer. 2005, 16, 4345-9. Puvs D., Augustin G.J., Fitzpatrick D., Hall W.C., Lamanchiaras, McNamara Joe, Editors. Vision, the Eye. In Neuroscience. 3 NDED. Sunderland, Ma, Seenauer Associates. 2004 p.229-58. Available from http://www.cns.tisc.earnit.in/ns201_13/books/neuroscience_pvs.pdf. Puvs D. Augustine G.J., Fitzpatrick D., Hall W.C., Larmanchiaras, McNamara Joe, editors. Central Visual Pathways. In Neuroscience. 3 NDED. Sunderland, Ma, C. Nauer. Associates, 2004. p.259-82. Available from http://www.cns.tisc.earnit.in/ns201_13/books/neuroscience_pvs.pdf. Puvs D. Augustine G.J., Fitzpatrick D., Hall W.C., Larmanchiaras, McNamara Joe, editors. The Chemical Senses. In Neuroscience. 3 NDED. Sunderland, Ma, C. Nauer. Associates, 2004. p.337-67. Cited 2013 December. http://www.cns.tisc.earnit.in/ns201_13/books/neuroscience_pvs.pdf. Chien M. Fang Y. Development of aroma compounds in peanut noi grapes and their relative importance in wine, Year 1. Cited 2014 Jan. Available from http://uri.oregon-state.edu/sites/files/documents/wine_reports/2002 03 %20 of %20 aroma %20 compounds %20 in %20 peanut %20 noi %20 grapes %20 and %20 their %20 relative %20 importance %20 in %20 wine %20 year %201.pdf. Quant Re. On Wine Bullshit. Some New Software. J. Wine Econom. 2007 2-129-35. Available from http://wine-economics.org/journal/details-content/volume-2 2007 Reed Dr. Bachman Orf A. Beecham G.K., Tordorf M.G., Price Ra. Heritable Variation in Food Preferences and Their Contribution to Obesity. Behav Janet. 1997, 27, 4373-87. Rentz Shem, Wilkenzer and Winterhalter P. Non-flavonoid phenolic compounds. In Moreno Aribas MV, Polo MC, editors. Wine Chemistry and Biochemistry. New York. Springer, 2009. p509-27. 65. Jackson R.S. Chemical Constituents of Grapes and Wine. In Wine Science. Principles, Practice, Perception. 2nd ed. Burlington, Ma, Academic Press, 2000. p.232. 75. Robinson J. Confisos de Humoramento de Vinhos. São Paulo, DBA Artes Gráficas. 2008 p.259. Rolls E.T., Baileys LL. Gustatory, olfactory, and visual convergence within the primate. Orbitofrontal cortex. J. Neurosci. 1994, 14:5437-52. Santos Dwelga C. De Freitas v. Influence of Phenolics on Wine Organoleptic Properties. In Moreno Arribas M.V., Polo M.C., Editors. Wine Chemistry and Biochemistry. New York, Springer, 2009. p. 529-70. Sanz M.L., Martinez Castro I. Carbohydrates. In Moreno Arribas M.V., Polo M.C. Editors. Wine Chemistry and Biochemistry. New York, Springer, 2009. p. 231-48. Shipley Mount 1, NSM Functional Organization of Olfactory System. J. Neurobiol. 1996, 30:123-76. Silva J. Rosestraton R.J. Manual Pratico de Psicophysica. Cited 2014 Jan. Available from pge3.wikispaces.com/file/view/manual and psicophysica.pdf. Small dm, Prescott J. Oda/taste integration and the perception of flavor.exp brain. Res. 2005, 166, 3-4-345-57. Small dm, Vos J., Mercury, Simmons KB, Parish T., Gitelman D. Experience. Dependent neural integration of taste and smell in the human brain. J. Neurophysiol. 2004, 92, 31892-903. Storchman K., Mittelinger, Leo. The detrimental effect of expert opinion on price. Quality dispersion evidence from the wine market. AAWE working paper. Economics. 2012, 118. Cited 2013 December. Available from http://wineeconomics.org/or/wp content/uploads/2012/10/4/AAWE_WP118.pdf. Salmontros C., Is Sanchao S., Costa E.P., Burnham D., Sciliasso M. You'll never drink alone, Wine Tasting and Aesthetic Practice. In Aleph F., Editor. Wine and Philosophy, a Symposium on Thinking and Drinking. Malden, Ma., Blackwell Publishing. 2008 p.157-71. Salmontros C., Is Sanchao S., Costa E.P. Odor naming methodology, correct. Identification with multiple choice versus repeatable identification in a free task. Chemistry. Senses. 2005, 30, 123-7. Ugliano M., hence Shpa. Yeasts and Wine Flavor. In Moreno Arribas M.V., Polo M.C. Editors. Wine Chemistry and Biochemistry. New York, Springer, 2009. p. 313-92. 66. Van der Merwe C.A., Van Wykcj. The contribution of some fermentation products to the odor of dry white wines. J. Inol Vitic. 1981, 32:41-6. Villiers T. The Physiology of the Senses Lecture 1, The Eye. In The Physiology of the Senses, Transformations for Perception and Action, online course, revised. the 16th of August, 2012. Available from http://www.tutis.ca/senses/l1i/l1i.pdf. Villamor. The impact of wine components on the chemical and sensory properties of wines, dissertation. Washington, D.C., Washington State University, 2012. Cited March 2013. Available from http://research.sulibs.su.edu/xmlua/bitstream/slash handle/slash 23764/1035.pdf, sequence equals 1. Von Beck-EZG olfactory analog to directional J Apple Physiol. 1964, 19:369-73. Von Beck-EZG. The effect of adaptation of the taste threshold observed with a semschautomatic gustometer. J. Gen Physiol. 1965, 48:481-8. Waterhouse Al. Wine Phenolics. An NY Acad SCI. 2002, 957:21-36. Whitwer G., Rothfield J. Projecting the World Wine Market from 2003 to 2010. Australas. Agribus Revelation 2005, 13 Paper 21. Cited 2013 December. Available from http://www.agrifood.info/review/2005/whitwer_rothfield.html. Zator Processing of olfactory affective information, contribution of functional imaging studies. In Ruby C., Scabie, Dubois D., Gervais R., Hollier, editors. Olfaction, Taste, and Cognition. Cambridge, UK, Cambridge University Press, 2002. p.324-34. Zellner, Bartolome, Eckhard R. Influence of Color on Odor Identification and Liking. Ratings. J. Psychol. 1991, 104, 4547-61. Zellner, Kautzma. Color affects perceived odor intensity. JEXP Psychol Hum. Percept Perform. 1990, 16, 2391-7. Zhang Y., Hoon Ma, Chandrasekhar J., Mueller K.L., Cook B., Wu D., Zuka C.S., Rabat. N.J. Coding of sweet, bitter, and umami tastes, different receptor cells sharing similar signaling pathways. Cell. 2003, 112:293-301.